I actually stopped mid-workout to make this video because I didn't want to film it till later. I didn't even shower today or anything, clearly. I woke up late, was exercising. I was like, I can't hold this up. I gotta talk about this fucking movie. So obviously, Huluraiser has come out. People have seen it. There's been a lot of discussion. It's pretty mixed reception. I did my video earlier on the trailer. I was not in the marketing. I was hesitant about the casting Jamie Clayton, just from some of the interviews and stuff. I'm not familiar with her acting or anything. I just wasn't getting good vibes from the whole project. I wasn't familiar with the director. I was very, very negative on Hulu's Books of Blood adaptation. So I watched the movie last night. I was cautiously pessimistic, which I think should be probably a YouTube channel name. I think that'd be a cool channel name. But also I think that should be a term where it's like you're gonna see something, but you're pessimistic because you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. So that's how I felt, and I started the movie, and I liked it a lot. Actually, I really enjoyed most of it. It wasn't perfect. It's certainly not an Oscar movie. It's not The Exorcist. It's not The Changeling or anything like that. But as far as A modern horror movie and B, a Hellraiser franchise entry, I think it was pretty great. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by it. And honestly, if I was negative, I wouldn't bother uploading this review so quickly. I wouldn't care to talk about it that much. But I was so happy with the results of it, particularly the first half, that I had to get it off my chest. Because I can't think of anything better as a horror fan than getting an 80s, 90s franchise with 10 sequels, and you get a new one and it doesn't suck. I mean, that's really something special. So the movie, it's here's one thing that's really been bothering me is that the conversation around the movie has been, oh, this is an adaptation of the book. It's closer to the book than the original movie. No, it's not. It's not an adaptation of the book. I've read the book like a dozen times. This has the Lamet configuration, which is very, very different than the original movie and the book. They do a lot more things with the puzzle aspect of it. It's different. It took me back for a second, but I like it a lot. I actually think the Lamet configuration, it gets a lot of attention in this movie, and it really helps it. I think it's probably the best use of the Lamet configuration in the franchise, quite frankly, which is kind of good and bad. It's kind of a blessing and a curse, which I'll get to in a little bit, but it's a different take. It's a reinterpretation of the essential themes and aesthetics of the original book and original movie, and that's it, really. I really wouldn't call it a remake at all. You can call it a reboot. It's not a soft reboot. It's a full-on reboot, and that's great. I'm happy they did that. I think that's refreshing and breathes new life into the series. It's pretty exciting. One big thing with it, and this is, it helps the movie a lot, but I think it does take away from the creepiness factor for me personally. And once again, if you can roll with it, if you can say this is David Bruckner's interpretation, not Clive Barker's, not the Weinsteins, which, I don't think any of us particularly respect. It's very linear. It's almost like a video game where the box requires a certain number of sacrifices. There's rules. Even the Cenobites are almost like the villains in Resident Evil 2 that just like the remakes, Resident Evil 2, 3, and then Resident Evil 7, where you have like an NPC chasing you and you can't kill it. That's kind of how the Cenobites act in this. It has a lot of Resident Evil vibes, actually, especially in the third act. And it's very role oriented, and that's clever. It's smart. It's good screenwriting. But I think it takes away a little bit of the mystique. I think the Cenobites and how they're presented. I always see them as kind of gods. Like they can get through anything. They can show up. You can't kill them. And I know in Hellraiser 2 they get killed. I recognize that is kind of hypocritical, but the way they're presented, this one just isn't as scary. The designs, for the most part, are pretty great. I know everybody's talking about Jamie Clayton. Everybody's talking about the new Pinhead. I don't have strong thoughts. I didn't like this Pinhead really. It's fine. It's not a highlight of the movie. The inclusion of Pinhead. I think that I'm trying to think how to put it. Doug Bradley has such a distinct voice and such a distinct look with his skull and facial features that you can't replace it, and they tried doing something different. I appreciate that. I personally think maybe you should just retire the jersey and just say, hey, Doug Bradley's Pinhead. We can't really replicate that, so let's just make a new lead Cenobite. I think it would be much more exciting. Obviously, much less profitable. I get it. Um, the performance doesn't ruin the movie. Pinhead's really not even in the movie that much, so it doesn't really hurt it. I'm gonna say maybe 2 minutes of like speaking lines. It's not an hour of the movie or anything, so it doesn't really affect me that much. But since it's such a big point of debate, I have to say I'm not for the new Pinhead. I'm not enthusiastic, but I'm not really against her either. It's just kind of, I'm just not into it. It's just kind of weak to me. The other Cenobites, like I said, I actually like them and their design. They look kind of like cyborgy or something from some of the production or the promotion stills, and they really don't look that way in the movie. It's clear that I mean the lighting's kind of strange in how it shows, and their skin is very pallid, so it does look not quite human or very cadaverous, but they look good for the most part. I like them. I like what they do with the Cenobites designs. Like I said, it's not my favorite interpretation of them with all the rules and how it's structured. They're much like Greek gods, I guess, as compared to like something all powerful or whatever you want to call it, which once again isn't that far off from the original movies anyways. But if you watch the movie, I think you'll see what I mean. But really good stuff. I really liked it. What I was shocked by is the beginning of the movie and the way it sets up the characters and stuff. I like the characters in it. I think it has very much the same kind of quality as Last House on the Last House on the Left. That's really funny. The People Under the Stairs, where there's kind of a heist plot line. There's a theme of drug addiction, alcoholism, and you care for the characters, I think, more than one would expect to. The acting isn't always great, but for the most part, it's serviceable. Once again, a straight-to-streaming horror movie, like 11th in a franchise or something outrageous. I'm pretty happy with this compared to some of the other Hellraiser sequels. Yeah, I really love the first hour of the movie. I was prepared to give like an 8 out of 10 when I was watching the first hour, and this is my biggest complaint with the movie, is that I think it has serious pacing issues in the back half. I don't necessarily, I kind of do dislike some of it, to be honest. There's a twist, I'm not going to get into it, but there's just a twist with one character from the beginning of the movie and what happens with that character, and I like the idea and concept, but the way it's done in the movie I just think is a little too goofy for what it is, in my opinion. It's not, I don't know. It just doesn't really work for me. It's not horrible. It just doesn't quite work. The final scene, a lot of people have been talking about, I think it's really, really cheesy. I'm not into it. It's like 20 seconds of footage, whatever. It's a stinger ending, but I think it kind of blows. It's corny as hell. Yeah, I think this movie has a lot. It's actually funny because it gave me a lot of Euphoria vibes, and I think the main actress has she's like, I'm not saying this to insult her, but she seems like an off-brand Zendaya, like a Great Value Zendaya or something. Just the way that they do her hair and everything, and how Zendaya looks in Euphoria. They were really going for that tone, and I think it works. It's interesting to see that crossover with Hellraiser, and it's kind of odd when you think about the concept, but then when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, I get this. Let's see, the Gore and Kills, I think they do a lot of really cool stuff, actually, with the visuals with the labyrinth. You see Leviathan again. Maybe my favorite scene in the movie, to be honest, is when the main girl is going through these journals about the mythology. It's very Evil Dead, like the Necronomicon, and the classic Hellraiser themes playing, and it's just it's a really great moment. I think that's about it. I'm not going to ramble on too long, but I have to say I was fully expecting it. I had predicted to give it a 6 out of 10 was my guess. So like lukewarm, not horrible, but not good. I'm going to give it a 7.5. That does feel a little generous, to be honest, because it does have some pretty serious flaws, but I really liked it. If it was 15 minutes shorter, I'd probably give it an 8, honestly, because it had a lot that I really liked. The first hour especially, I was completely engaged with. Unfortunately, I think it does fall apart a little bit at the end. It's not terrible, but it really kills the rewatch value. It kills momentum. I was honestly starting to get bored, and considering how invested I was originally, that's not a great sign. But I recommend this movie if you like the series. I liked it a lot. 7.5 out of 10.